I know there's a weird contrast between these two videos. Have you ever wanted to live out the fantasy of being a true hero? A hero whose enemies are unequivocally evil and there's no act against them which is wrong? If that's the case, killing the Khajiit outside of Whiterun is always a fun time, but if Skyrim isn't your cup of tea, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 is a lovely second.
What is your reward?
My salvation is my reward.
What is your craft?
My craft is death.
What is your pledge?
My pledge is eternal service.
The first Space Marine is a beloved classic, playing as the God Emperor's Angels of Death and striking down that which threatens the Imperium. The original game is, by all metrics, very simple. There's no form of upgrades or progression. You simply pull up the game, kill anything that doesn't look like you, and then set it down when you're done. It isn't without issues, though. Nemeroth is kinda boring and Leandros is a cunt, but this isn't a review of the first game. We're here to talk about its sequel. So how is Space Marine 2? Well, it's fucking phenomenal. Space Marine 2's campaign begins with you playing as the Death Watch, a special chapter of Space Marines composed of Astartes from different chapters for the sole purpose of killing the inhuman Xenos that have the audacity to live in the same galaxy as us. The goal of this prologue is to deploy a virus bomb on the planet with the intention of slowing down the Tyranid swarm, and it's here we begin the gameplay of Space Marine 2. This game has some notable differences that makes it leaps and bounds better than its original. The gunplay is mostly the same, but it definitely has an overall better feel to it, if that makes sense. The real change to this game is its melee. Melee is the name of the game in Space Marine 2. In the first, it was just swing at enemy and perform executions to regen health, and while you still do those two things in the sequel, there's a lot more to it this time. For starters, parrying is probably the most important thing to master in this game. Most attacks that don't involve a bullet can be parried with few exceptions in which you'll have to perform a dodge. Parrying smaller enemies just fucking kills them, and parrying anything else that at least reaches shoulder height stuns them, allowing you to do a pistol follow-up dealing big boy damage. Rock a Xenos or Heretics world hard enough and you can perform an execution on them, and instead of regaining health like in 1, instead your shield is regenerated. If you want health in Space Marine 2, well then you better be ready to put on your Hunter's Cap, because if you want to get health back mid-combat, you gotta quickly attack an enemy right after they attack you to regain some of the health you lost. This shouldn't be relied upon, as you won't have the opportunity to regen every point of health you lost, but the levels are scattered with Medicae, which helps you top off your health.
You're a savage! You're a maniac! You are a bandit! And I am the goddamn hero!
Melee is definitely the best and most satisfying part of this game's combat. Sure, putting a bolter around through a heretic's head is fun enough, but nothing beats getting up close and personal and whispering in their ear that they're on the wrong side of history. Not to demoralize guns, as there is a lovely variety of firearms in Space Marine 2, such as bolter, bolter but small, bolter but long, 3-round burst bolter, semi-auto bolter, bolter but big, bolter but even bigger, along with plasma and melta weapons for a bit of extra spice. This game also features what is, in layman's terms, basically just an ultimate ability. The three main characters all have their own ability, but the one you'll end up being most familiar with is Titus's, which gives you health regen, and I think more damage, but let's be honest, you'll just end up using it for the health regen. Awesome segue. The story of Space Marine 2 goes like this. You, being Titus, are a member of the Death Watch serving penance after that cunt Leandros reported you to the Inquisition for potential chaos corruption. After a quite intimate moment with a Carnifex leaves you near death, you're hoisted back to the Ultramarines and undergo the Rubicon Primaris to transform from the mid-ass Firstborn Marine to the Gigachad Primaris with cooler looking armor. Now, having been reinstated as an Ultramarine, you're given the task of stopping the Tyranid invasion and eventual chaos as well. These are the two factions you'll be fighting throughout the entirety of the game, which is by no means a bad thing. There is plenty of varying enemies within these two factions, though it would have been nice to kill some of the true members of scum and villainy that this galaxy inhabits, such as Eldar or Eldar children, but hey, I'm fine with filthy heretics and that one faction that's a stand-in for Jewish people. The story with Imra is whatever. It's basically the same as Nemeroth from the first game. The truly interesting part of Space Marine 2 is that dynamic between our three main characters. Titus is very secretive about his past, mostly with what happened on Graia, and when the artifact from the first game reappears, Titus is hell-bent on stopping it without explaining why to his brothers, which causes suspicion to raise among the two. Gaedriel at first gives off cunt Leandros vibes by constantly being on Titus's ass, though this time he has more justification than that cunt Leandros. Chiron mostly serves as an intermediary between the two, trying to keep them from tearing each other's throat outs, though he's not all peace and love, because he definitely flies off the rails when the Thousand Sons are introduced, and holy shit, is that Sanguinius? Titus's main moral he learns from the campaign is to learn to trust his battle brothers instead of shouldering everything on his own. During their first confrontation with Imra, Gadriel is almost tricked into killing Titus, made easy by the fact that Titus has been keeping secrets this whole time up till now. It's through this moment that Titus learns the consequences of keeping his team in the dark, making them almost fall prey to chaos because of it. Titus becomes more honest with them, and the other two begin to put more faith in Titus in return. A simple story, but this is what Space Marines are all about. It's that brothers in arms tale that attracts so many people to the Adeptus Astartes, and why so many people are against the idea of female Space Marines, myself included. Alright, allow me to go on a brief tangent about something that'll piss people off, and since I'm at that point in my YouTube channel where at least some people will watch my videos, meaning there's always a chance to piss some of those people off, which is why, the whole reason I keep making these fucking things. Do you want to know why Games Workshop plays favorites with the Space Marines so often? I'll tell you why. It's because Space Marines are a core part of the 40k universe, and without them, the world would be a hell of a lot more generic. Allow me to hit you with a fact. Jedi and the Force are by far the most interesting thing about Star Wars. If you took out the lightsabers and space wizards, you would be left with Star Trek, but with even uglier alien races. That's why Disney is so anal about including Jedis and the Force in Star Wars media, because it's the best part of the franchise, and it's not even close. It's the same with Space Marines as well. I've gotten very tired of hearing things like, I want X with a Y coat of paint. Shut up, no you don't. If you took out the larger-than-life battles of 40k, the endless struggle between the Imperium and Chaos, the Space Marines in their crusade against their traitor brothers, you would be left with something no one, including the people who say they hate Space Marines, would like. Consider this my unofficial review for the incredibly mid Bloodlines. You can go on as much as you want about how you love the Tau or Eldar, but you and I both know that without the Imperium, and most importantly the Space Marines, this universe wouldn't be nearly as interesting as it is. So how about those operations, huh? In case Darktide couldn't get any more irrelevant, now I have no reason to play the fucking thing. This game definitely has the bones of a live service game, and some might scoff at the sound of that, and I would too, but if the devs did want to add a skin for the assault class that turned him into Dante, I sure wouldn't complain. Operations are campaign-like missions, only instead of playing specific characters, you get to pick one of 6 classes: Tactical, Assault, Vanguard, Bulwark, Sniper, and Heavy. Tactical is your basic Space Marine with auto bolters and auspex skins, which just makes enemies take more damage. And in case you're wondering, yes, I did make all my Space Marines Blood Angels, because just being the good guys wasn't enough, they also have to be inhumanly beautiful. Unfortunately, the faces on the Marines aren't anything but, so I put helmets on all of them and just pretended they were. Assault has a jump pack, but since my friend mained him and only one person can play a class at a time, you'll just have to watch him in the background to get the idea. Vanguard has a grappling hook you can't attach to surfaces, and a knife. There isn't much more to say. All my classes except Bulwark are low level, so I'm not very far along in the progression trees. All I'll say is the skull on the helmet is not my cup of tea, but unfortunately it's the only way I can pretend he's an Aryan from Agartha, aka Ball. Bulwark is my baby. Armed with a relic shield and a power sword, only a power sword. If you'll take a look over here, you'll see my lovely Blade Guard veterans. Please don't bully my paint shop, I'm 12. He's a tank support type class. His relic shield blocks any and all projectiles, at least I haven't encountered a projectile I can't block yet, and his ability lets him place a banner that heals the shield of you and your teammates when next to it. And despite the fact I'm a Blood Angel, the banner is always an Ultramarine banner, but we can just pretend they're really big Blueberry fans. Also, quick side note, but I'm very upset that I can't make my helmet gold. I could put it gold on almost every other part of my armor except the main body pieces, meaning my Bulwark isn't Codex compliant Blade Guard Blood Angel, so if this video does get any traction, please let the devs know just how important this is to me, please and thank you. There's the Sniper class, but I didn't play the Sniper class, so Heavy is pretty cash with his Heavy Bolter and Multi-Melta. His ability is an Iron Halo, which is pretty weak compared to the Iron Halo of lore, and also, if we took a look at my lovely Blade Guards, they should have one too, and it should be stronger than the Heavies for no other reason than I think it would be funny. The Heavy differs from the other classes in the sense that he doesn't have a melee weapon, if you don't count his fucking boot, that is. Despite this, he can still parry and bash Xeno skulls in with his Heavy Bolter, so not much has changed except killing the heretics with melee is a bit more challenging. There are currently 6 operation missions, and I think it can be safe to assume that more will come to the game eventually, whether for the season pass or free to all is unknown. Not that it'll matter to me since I'm the main character and got the big boy edition, so it'll just be you peasants who have to worry about that. The last course this game has to offer is Eternal War, or PvP if you're a loser heretic. Right now there are only 4 modes: Team Deathmatch, Domination, Hardpoint, and the Fight for Decent Ping. All the classes you can pick are from the same as from Operations, except there is no weapon progression and skill trees, and also there's a chance your cosmetics will reset for no other reason than the game hates me specifically. Not that it fucking matters anyway, because it seems the God Emperor is out to punish me for crimes I'm not yet aware of. You're probably wondering why, even though I've spouted about how great humanity and the Emperor are, why all the footage I'm using is on the Chaos side, and believe me, I would like to fucking know that as well. The first 7 matches I played, which is where all this footage came from, was entirely Chaos. I did get Loyalists eventually, but I wasn't recording then, so it doesn't count. Not as bad as my friend though, who got 20 consecutive Chaos matches, and even he, who was a cringe Chaos lover, got sick of it. I will give Chaos some credit though, in the fact each class is a different heretic. Tactical is Black Legion, Assault is Night Lords, Vanguard is World Eaters, Death Guard make up Bulwark, Snipers are Alpha Legion, and Heavy are the Iron Warriors. Compliments in there, since the only real customization you can do to Chaos is change their color scheme. They'll still be the same Legion in terms of appearance, which I find limiting and annoying since Chaos is ugly. You're probably wondering why, despite being in the campaign, you can't play as Thousand Sons in multiplayer. And my current theory is at some point we're going to get a Psyker class with Loyalists getting a Librarian and Chaos will get Thousand Sons. If you're also attentive, you'll notice that Word Bearers and Emperor's Children are nowhere to be seen, and all I can say to that is thank God.
Get over it, whore.
I have no particular shade against Word Bearers other than I think the Legion is very vapid and boring outside of Horus Heresy, but to be honest that's the case with most of the Traitor Legions. What started out as being interesting and justifiable reasons for betraying the Emperor became real fucking boring the moment the Primarchs turned into Demon Princes, where all the intrigue and character flew out of the window, and now they just blindingly follow their Chaos God of choice without having a will of their own. Sure, Abaddon isn't a Demon Prince, but his hair fucking sucks, so he doesn't count. As for the Emperor's Children, all I can do is cackle because there is no shot they'll ever be added to this game. Ignoring the fact that the Noise Marines have some of the worst design in science fiction, who on earth wants to admit to enjoy playing the Rape faction? There's a good reason GW hasn't updated your armies in a long time, and I hope it stays that way, you fucking weirdos. The moment-to-moment gameplay of multiplayer feels pretty good. The maps have a design that reminds me of old Halo maps. The ejector points tend to be in very open and vulnerable positions with little cover, but that's why the Bulwark exists. It does seem like team play is important here, but everyone just kind of runs off and does their own thing like it's COD or something. But I feel over time people realize just how important working together is. So far I haven't encountered anything too OP or broken. The only thing I could find that was slightly annoying was Bulwark's shield being able to absorb Indian all projectiles, making them hard to counter. Unless you have a Vanguard who can grab them with their grappling hook, which will pull them out of their blocking stance, further encouraging team play. Also, fun fact, but in PvP, the Vanguard can grapple onto things that aren't just enemies. And that's about it for Space Marine 2. It is a very good game. Is it Game of the Year worthy? Hard to say since I haven't finished Wukong yet or started Astrobot. It's also not better than Persona 3 Reload in my opinion, but that's also bias talking. I definitely recommend this game though, even if you aren't super familiar with 40k. There may be some scenes or terminology that make no sense, but as long as you get simple, whimsical joy from killing anything non-human, I think you'll have a good time. Alright then. Bye-bye now.